Good morning. We're live at Claim Moores. I apologize for the delay. Had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning. As usual, technology is wonderful. Welcome to episode 4 of Claim Moores. We are getting started right now this morning. My name is Kenny Avens. I am the insurance guy. I am the claim defender. I'm the guy that the insurance company wishes would go away. Put these off. We're glad you're here with us this morning. I'm going to have a special guest with us this morning. We're going to go over a lot of things that the insurance company just doesn't want you to know. So again, welcome to Claim Wars, episode 4, starting right now. All right, so we're going to lift the curtain on the insurance industry. We're going to talk about what they do and how they do it. And sometimes it's so ridiculous, you just have to laugh. And to help me out, I got somebody who's been in the trenches with me for years. She's climbed thousands of roofs. She owns her own construction company. And she's seen more hail damage than most adjusters have received paychecks. My partner, my wonderful wife, Rhonda. Sharpest eyes in the business.
Well, thanks, babe. Though I think sharpest eyes just means I can spot an adjuster hiding in a bush.
That's right. Oh, technical difficulties. Trying to measure hail with a yardstick, I assume.
That's called high-tech adjusting.
That's why you've been here with me, baby, to help me through these years, getting it laughing as we get to moving forward. Today we're going to call this one "If I Were the Insurer." We're going to give you the information based on what the insurance company's been doing and how they want you to think, and this is what they've guided you to do. It's almost like the algorithms they're talking about on the behind the little internet stuff that guides you without your knowledge. So this is what we're going to deal with this morning. We're going to go through that. I've brought in another perspective, so that way I'm not the only one. But at this point in time, let me read this. If I were the insurer, I'd promise to help every family, and I'd start by paying the claims somewhat fairly, winning the trust, and having little slogans like, "We're your good neighbor." Does that sound familiar? Because it's on every anthem at every football game that you've ever watched.
Yeah, like all those commercials in between the football games that, we're here to help you until the denial letter comes.
Exactly. We're going to give you peace of mind with a migraine is what we're going to do.
Ain't that the truth? I've had homeowners tell me they promised they'd be there for me, but they just didn't say where.
All right. So, again, this is what they do. If I were the insurer, this is how I would do things, okay? I'd slowly replace the easy-to-read contracts with ever-growing lists of confusing legalese and endorsements, okay? All the exclusions, lots of pages, and that's what it is. When you go to try and read your policy, I mean, most of us being, of average intelligence, I would say, you just can't understand it. And when you look it up, you almost have to have a master's level education to even begin to understand it. And that's just not how it works. That's kind of the poetry. It's, written in pure confusion.
Yeah, I swear some of these policies are written like by a drunk lawyer with a thesaurus.
A thesaurus, yeah. That's a good one. 6 o'clock in the morning, you gotta love those. That's awesome. Oh, they'll give you 80 pages and just to tell you, how come it takes a book to say you're not covered.
Yeah, but they cover everything except what happened.
except that one event. That's right. Oh, they should put at the top of every policy. Reading this may cause drowsiness, confusion, and possible bankruptcy. Because it does. I mean, it is awful what they do. Again, so we're going to go into, this is part of the deductible. Okay, this is the hustle they do. And if I were the insurer, I would raise the deductible so high, 150%, that 60% of the people out there couldn't afford a deductible. Does it feel like that to you right now? You go to get your deductible, I mean, it's just like 1%, 2%. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's my favorite. I'm covered until you find out your deductible's three times your car.
$3,000 more than your car. That's your deductible. That's But we'll get you started once you chip in, because you have to. Annie, thank y'all for joining us this morning. Jacob, you have to ante in. I mean, but they've made it so high that you actually, you don't want to do anything with you don't want to file a claim, because if you file a claim, your deductible may go up. They may drop you. There's a lot of mindset that goes behind the deductibles and how they raise them and how they keep you involved with this. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like I said, you're looking at $3,000, $6,000. I had a gentleman the other day had a $9,000 deductible on a water claim, so he's got to get a water leak in his house to get up to $9,000. Now, it can do that quickly with mitigation, okay? But when you start looking at repairs and drywall, depending on how far you'd have to go, $9,000 is a lot of interior work as far as rebuild. It just is. So again, if I were the insurer, this is the next thing I would do. I would install obscure duties of the loss. I would bury all this language in your policy that where you can't see it. And then I'd give them deadlines and that they can't, by the time they realize that they have them, they're over. I don't know how many times I've seen it play on day 16. Oh, you waited too long. And that's a long-term water coverage. That's one that they like to do quite a bit. It's 14 days. It's been longer than 14 days. On day 15, you're no longer covered.
Yeah, they bury those things really deep. I mean, you have to dig, look for those. It's like an Easter egg, an insurance Easter egg hunt, except instead of finding the candy, you find debt.
Yes, I mean, it's awful. I mean, and I don't know at what point in time where it came up that you had to go from, where on day 15 that all of a sudden that's the long-term water leak. In 2 weeks, long-term water leak. Now, I get it. 2 weeks is a long time. But if it's dripping under the sink in your bathroom, say you have a multi-story home and a bathroom that's used mainly by guests, and it's been leaking and you don't go in there, every now and again, but to clean or when you have guests, this is, 14 days clicks by, you didn't even know it was there. That's just how it gets. And I've got actually some of those claims I'm dealing with now. A gentleman, flat out, he wasn't even home when the plumbing device failed, leaked the whole second story. We had to video, and it was a fight, and they just now started to acknowledge, oh, okay, well, this is sudden and accidental. This is not, because what had happened was he had a water leak while he was gone, and mitigation came in, and they started taking things apart. Now they got his carpet gutted, they got his drywall gutted, they got everything taken out, and all of a sudden we've got rotted wood. So he had a sudden and accidental water leak that happened, and during the mitigation process, they discovered old rotted wood, so there had been a leak going on for a long time. And at that point in time, they pulled out, and they told him, we're not paying. It was a flat-out denial. They told me that they were not paying. It was a flat-out denial after I got involved. And so we show them the video, we start going through the little clicks, and finally, I think it was yesterday, I actually got an email saying, okay, we're going to write an estimate for the damages, because I think I called for a reinspection at that point in time. Meet me out there. Let's discuss it. That's what we do as public adjusters. We will negotiate for you on the behalf for the to try and get the process moving forward, because we can go into your policy and we can read where it said that 14 days. I get it. 14 days. And that's what I told them. You got a long-term water leak here that's been going on, but that's not what caused this damage. That's not what flooded this man's house while he was gone. And that's where we at. Here's where it gets really wild as far as how the process goes, and I've dealt with this firsthand. They hire an army of engineers and adjusters and contractors that are in their favor. I mean, you don't want to think that anybody's doing anything nefarious, but I mean, let's face it, okay? They come in and they look at this, and it's hard to give a totally objective opinion when your entire income is based on coming from the people that are sending you out there. And I've said this before. In what industry does the man who owes you the money get to send his man out there to tell you how much he's going to pay you? And that's okay. And that's exactly what we deal with every day. They have all the purse strings. They have all the people. And it's just you. It's like going to court without an attorney. I mean, and you don't know the language, you don't know the process, and they don't want you to know that the public insurance adjusters exist. Okay, I mean, if you're contacting us, we have the knowledge to move you forward, and we'll move you forward as quickly as we can. Now, know this: the insurance company is going to drag everything out. Do they not drag everything out?
Very, very long as they can, because they don't have any skin in the game. I mean, you're usually the one that needs everything fixed. I mean, this is your home, your place of your protection of your family, and then they're like, well, we'll just drag this out, and it's like, no, I need my home fixed now. So a lot of times you just take what they give you, when you don't realize they work for you. You pay them. They owe you. And the public adjuster comes out there and they get you what you're owed.
It's your biggest investment. I mean, it's your biggest investment. It's your biggest worry. I mean, and yet, yeah, when you need the help, that's when you find out, well, this little part's not covered, or this section of it, I understand you have that your whole house is destroyed, but we have this one little sentence in here buried on page 12 that says this is not going to be covered because we've told you point blank that this was not covered. And you're sitting here going, well, I've never filed a claim. And that's the biggest one I get a lot. I've been with this company 10 years. I've been with them 20 years. I've been with them 40 years. I've never filed a claim. This is the first time I've ever filed a claim. I can't believe they're treating me this way. It's not personal to them. It's money. And when you realize that, it changes things. So when you're at the insurance company as an adjuster, they want you to feel like you're in good hands. They want you to feel like we're your neighbor. And so they are training their people with scripts to read this and practice with it to the point where it's natural. Oh, I'm so sorry for that. I apologize for what you're going through. Let me see here what I can do for you. And if they don't use the exact words in the script, they'll get dinged. Okay? And after you say this stuff 1,000 times, you get really good. And it sounds natural. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Such and Such, I am so sorry you're going through this. Let me get into your policy and see what I can do. And automatically you're put at ease.
You're put at ease, so that you'll just start talking, because you know how there's no one likes silence on the phone. Most people don't. So they'll just start talking, and you're talking to a stranger, so you're talking about what happened to your house. Well, they're already taking record of that. They're typing that out. They're already putting together a claim against you.
If you don't type very well, that's a very difficult job to do, because they are literally typing every word you are saying as you are saying it. Okay? And then they'll say, okay, most of them won't put you on hold. What they'll do is they'll just leave you there with the silence that she's talking about, and they'll say, let me look into your policy and see what I can do. And it takes a minute. I mean, it's a 60, 80 page policy, even if it's 40 or 50 page policy. So while you're silent, they're looking through their little thing. You're talking. Okay. Well, and they'll tell you these things are recorded for training purposes and other. But the big thing is, even while they're looking and you're talking, they're typing. Everything's being recorded. And it's not so much the actual voice recording. Because I've had a lot of the insured, they'll come back and they go, well, it said flat out that conversation is being recorded. We can get that information. I may or not be able to get that information. Now, if this thing goes to litigation, good morning. Thank you for joining me. This thing may or may not go to litigation. Now they can get those recordings. They can request that information, and if they have it, they'll get it. But for me, to say, hey, you recorded this, I want to hear this back and play it back for them, they're not going to help you build your case against them. That's just not what they're going to do. Okay, the minute you filed a claim, the investigation against you and what happened started. The minute you called in, everything's documented. And if you escalate, it's going to go to a manager. Sometimes the managers are licensed adjusters. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they were a licensed adjuster. And the funny thing about that is, a again, I worked with a lot of very skilled people, and then I worked with people that had been doing this job for a long time and had only done it for the carrier. And we had managers and directors and people of that stature who were making decisions who'd never set foot on a roof, who had never set foot inside a house after the event had hit, to see the devastation. Have you ever seen the devastation look on these people's faces?
Oh yeah, you're there at the most worst time of their life, and I mean, you've got people crying. You've got, I mean, it's terrible. They're displaced, and yeah, the carrier, they're so removed. They're just sitting behind their desk. Oh, I'm sorry this happened to you, because they have a script. Are you really sorry? Have you seen the devastation? Have you looked in these people's eyes and seen what they're going through? I mean, I've been to people's homes, and 2-3 weeks prior, they lost their spouse, and now their house is almost gone. And it's very, it's sad, and you just want to help everyone, but the insurance companies they're just so removed from it.
And you never know when you're going to walk into this. The
No.
one in particular, I think she was talking about, we had it was showed up at the house, and and this lady had a 2-story house, brick facade, 2 stories of it in rubble. I mean, it had fell over. She got hit by the hurricane, and I'm walking by, and the house is destroyed. I mean, completely destroyed. And I'm looking at this boat, and I went, man, I was talking to her on the phone. I said, man, it's a really nice boat. I'm just trying to be positive. And the lady unload flat out, almost started crying. She said, well, would you like to buy it? It was my husband's boat. He died about, 6 months ago. And so she had just lost her husband, and now she just lost her home to the hurricane. And so she's alone dealing with a completely gutted house and the bricks and all of this stuff. And it was a beautiful home and a lot of equipment. I can't imagine what she was going through. If he owned a business or anything like that, I mean, if you've ever had to deal with debt and anybody else's problem, that gets very, very complicated. That would lead me to another subject that I'll go in at a later date. If you have a deceased person on the insurance policy or on the mortgage, when you're dealing with that, that'll get very difficult. You want to, if your spouse or your a significant other is on the insurance policy and they pass, you want to get that resolved right away. If you have to file a claim and they're still on the policy, that will be very difficult. The checks get issued in the deceased person's name. You can't get them cashed. Now you've delayed everything out even farther. So it's just a big mess from time to time. I'm going to go into another part of what I was talking about. This whole segment's called "If I Were the Insurer," and so far we've went over, if I were the insurer, how I'd raise the deductibles. If I were the insurer, I would make this complicated. If I were the insurer, I would hire armies of people on my side to say and tell everybody that I'm right. I'm right. You're not covered. We don't owe you nothing. Okay. The next one is the check trap. And I get this a lot, and it amazes me because it hasn't been this way in a long time. You'll have people that'll say, well, I haven't cashed that check yet. Well, I'm the public adjuster. If you got me involved, well, this is, a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. You haven't cashed that check yet. That's a problem. If you hold on to that check too long, it'll go what they call insolvent, and that becomes an issue, and they'll have to reissue another check and a whole lot of story. Well, what they've got people believing is, if you cash the check, well, then that's it. No more money. No matter what, no more money. It's it. You cashed it. We settled. That is not the case.
No, it works every time because people are desperate and they just need the money to fix their house. They don't have it to hire a lawyer just to read the fine print.
No, not exactly. They don't have the time. They don't have the lawyers, and nobody's thinking about this. You're just thinking about trying to get your family back into their bedroom. You got kids going to school. If you're an elderly person, you're just trying to get back to normal so you can, live out the golden years. Golden. It's funny just how this works. But they got everybody still thinking to this day that if you cash that check, it's a settlement. And it's not. We can go back after, I think, if I'm not mistaken, even after goes all the way to litigation, once it's done with litigation, I think it's settled. They go to appraisal a lot of times, and it's also settled. But you can go back and say, hey, this isn't right. This is what it cost. This is what we thought. Well, for example, when all the material went up, and you had to go. Nobody was prepared for that. And the insurance company, at one point in time, you'd have thought they were dying, and that's a fact because they weren't prepared. All the material went up, and they weren't able to raise your rates till the year came in. And they renewed it, and man, quickly as they can, they did. So I don't know about y'all. All ours went up $100 a month. $100 a month. Some of these carriers have millions of people. So you're looking at $1,200 a year times millions of people. That's just ridiculous. That's an exuberant amount of money. That's what I've said before. The insurance industry in this country is $1.75 trillion. That is the kind of money that changes governments. It buys senators. It buys judges, and to think that that's not the case would be wrong. I mean, that kind of money changes countries. Okay, and it just works every time. It's they'll say it's policy procedure. It's just not right how it works. Okay.
Customer service with a smile and a sucker punch.
And a sucker punch. We're going to get you. And they do. They want you to pay your premiums every month. The whole point of this is to raise your deductible so high that you are afraid they're going to drop you, or they're going to keep raising your deductibles and you can't afford it. And then if you do have to file a claim, okay, we're going to pay you so little that you learn that lesson. Don't do that again. Do not do that again. Send us your premiums every month. Something happens, fix it yourself. Fix it yourself. In Louisiana, I ran so many storms in Louisiana, I used to tease people. I gained 15 pounds every time I go to Louisiana. I love the food over there. It's just awesome for all y'all that live over there. Those people are resilient for the most part on a level I've never seen before. They know the insurance company is not coming to help them. They know the government's not coming to help them. I mean, hours after the storm blows through, them people are out there with their tractors and their chainsaws, and they're clearing roads, and they're helping their neighbors, and they're doing things on a level that I've never seen before. But they get hit with so many storms. They get hit with so much devastation. They're used to the fact that help's not coming. Have you seen it?
Oh, many times. It's unreal, but they are. I've seen it though in all other most devastations. You see everybody jumping in and helping each other. But yeah, Louisiana, there's some strong Cajuns.
And they get hit. They get hit a lot. I mean, Thibodaux, Houma, all those places down there on the coast. I mean, there are parts of that state that get wiped off the map, and then a couple years later, there's structures back there. There's people back in there living. They're gator, and never seen people never afraid of gators. Most Louisianans do not. They're not scared of gators. Give you a little backstory. Funny thing was, when we were over there, for many times I'd go, "Is there gators in that water?" And they'd go, "Not really." Not really. You got to tell me what not really gators means. Because where I come from, there's either gators in the water or there's not gators in the water. What do you mean there's not really gators in the water? Well, in Louisiana, if they only see one every once in a while, there's not really gators in that water. And it's an interesting lifestyle. But I love the people in Louisiana. They're awesome. The food is amazing. If you ever get a chance to go there, I would recommend it highly. As we go through here again, the biggest thing that I see as far as the insurance company, they don't care, and it's not something that that you'd have to understand. We have worked inside these companies. We've been trained their tactics. I had an insured, and I tell them all the time, listen, once I'm involved, I don't want you talking to the adjuster anymore. I don't want you talking to the insurance company, because they're trained to ask you questions in a certain manner, a certain way, so that you answer in a certain way. And as she pointed out earlier, they document everything. Okay. And so I would say, hey, look, when they call, just say, hey, I need you to talk to Kenny. His number's, 830 da-da-da-da-da. And they'd give it to him. And that's what I need you to do after the public adjuster's involved. Because at that point in time, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And I can tell you right now, at this point in time, the insurance company is doing things like I've never seen before. They do not care. At one point in time, when I first started, if a public adjuster was involved, you went, whoa, okay, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. Let's regroup how we say our language, because they're going to come back at us with the same fight that we're giving them. And so you would back off, and you would just kind of, a lot of times they reassign it, and they still do. I still get that. The minute it's had this adjuster, and the minute that I'm involved, they assign it to another adjuster that's used to working with a public adjuster. Now, why would they do that, honey?
Because a newbie, a public adjuster, is going to just eat them for breakfast.
That's it. So I've had roofers actually, you're talking and they'll say, well, they know that they're not allowed to talk policy. They know that they're not allowed to do these things, but you'll have them go, well, but they don't enforce it. They're not enforcing the fact that the contractors are looking at the policy and they're telling the homeowner, hey, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is what you should do. You should go ahead and work on this, and what have you. Well, why would they do that? Well, I mean, if you were the insurance company, would you want to negotiate with somebody who had absolutely positively no authority and was actually breaking the law at that point in time? Or do you want to negotiate with somebody who has total authority and has the same language and knowledge that you do and is arguing those points? Well, of course, they're going to let the contractors, they're only going to slap the ones that are getting into their pocketbook. If you're getting into your pocketbook, you're going to get what's called an UPA violation, unauthorized practice of public adjusting. Never heard of that. That's what they'll call it. And they will go after the contractors that are costing them money. If you're not costing them money, they don't care. You're just going after the roof, okay? Or you're just going after your portion. If you're a contractor and you're engaging with a homeowner and their claim is over $10,000, you really should be suggesting that they get a public adjuster, okay? Because a public adjuster is going to come in and we're going to look at everything. We're going to look at the fences. We're going to look at the windows. We're going to look at the gutters. We're going to look at the siding. We're going to look at everything. We're going to look at personal property. We're trying to get them indemnified totally, not just the roof, not just the siding. And so my suggestion moving forward, and your clients are going to be more happy for it. You're going to get longer lasting clients. When they come in and at this point in time, any roofer could have got them the roof. You got them taken care of. I mean, who would you rather do business with next time? Somebody who comes in and fixes my roof, but everything else, I find out later that, they took all the money and there is nothing left to fix the siding. And now you get hit by the next storm. If you didn't fix it, it's no longer covered. They're going to say, well, that was before, sir. You didn't fix that. We don't have to pay for that. And they won't. They won't.
Well, they've already documented your whole home. So they'll go back and look at the photos. Oh, well, that was already here. I mean, we've gone and looked at properties on Google, and I've noted, oh, well, that roof already had a hole in it. That was when Google went through 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
There's a lot of tricks of the trade that they'll use.
Yeah, no, I've seen those. I've actually had one. I pulled up on it, and the same shingles were missing from 18 months prior. That I'm looking at it going, okay, so this hasn't been fixed at all. And it was a rent house. I think the gentleman was going through a divorce. So, I mean, it was just kind of he just didn't get to it. And he didn't realize, during all the mess that he had already filed a claim and, however it worked. But it was just funny looking it up going, okay, so yeah, this is going to be a no. And that was an easy no at that point in time. Now, a public adjuster 18 months later, whether or not they could help you or not, but they would try. And that's the whole point. The last thing I'm going to get to is that the insurance company just really is not, they're not out to, we had a lady in Louisiana one time, and she was very, very distraught. When I showed up, this lady had been very, she'd lost her parents. Okay, she only had one sister, and the house, the roof had been peeled off all the way down to the decking, and every room in the house had been saturated wet. And I mean, when I got there, she was hysterical. The roads, for the most part, weren't even accessible. We drove around in a big 4-wheel drive truck, and we hit these storm sites pretty regular. And she had to have a kid bring her down there from wherever she was on a 4-wheeler, okay, to meet us. And when we got there, the flood adjuster she'd already met the flood adjuster, and the flood adjuster told her no coverage. And so when I got there, she's literally hysterically telling me, I just lost my parents, and this is the only house, and my sister's not helping me, and I'm on my own, and I don't have anybody to help me. And the flood adjuster told me I'm not covered, and I'm looking at her house, and I said, whoa, man, whoa, okay? The flood adjuster was right.
Yes, the flood adjuster was right. The water didn't come from the ground. The water came from the roof. Yeah,
you weren't covered for flood, and she had no flood insurance, so they wouldn't have covered her. But the hurricane peeled the roof off and caused all the damage. And that's what I told her. I said, hey, I'm here for the win, for the event. I'm going to write all of this. I'm going to write it all. Well, being hysterical as she was and in that state of mind, during that conversation, I was up on the roof at one point in time, and she's talking to her sister on the phone, and she's telling her sister, "Well, he's saying, that all this is going to be covered and everything's going to be." And I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, man, that's not what I said, because as an independent adjuster, I don't have that authority." And most people don't realize the independent adjuster that comes out there, okay, they do not have the authority to make the decisions. I've got to meet an adjuster, and at this point in time, they're not even sending adjusters out for a lot of times. I've got an inspection where they're sending a ladder assist person. Seek Now, I shouldn't. Sorry about the names. They're a good company, but they're sending these ladder assist companies out to take pictures. Now, that's fine. That's great, and they're sending it to the desk. But when I'm involved as a public adjuster, you're sending somebody that's a photo taker out to take pictures for the desk, and they're going to meet me. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. Why you would send basically an untrained person, in my opinion, out to meet a public adjuster. But the fact of the matter is, I don't believe they care anymore, because you're not sending a qualified representative of the company to meet the insured's representative. And yet you have to grant them access to the site. So they want, they're going to come take pictures. But at this point in time, the guy that's coming out there's nothing for me to really talk to him about other than pointing out the pictures. Hey, we got damage here. We got damage here. Make sure you get a photo of that. There's really nothing, because he can't talk policy. He's not an adjuster. And I see that more and more. And I've had several adjusters that I work with have actually said, I don't even go out there and meet the ladder assist people. There's no point. I go out there and meet the ladder assist people to make a point that the insurance company is now to the point where they're not even sending a qualified rep out to look at the damage firsthand. They're just sending somebody who's been entry level into the business to take photos so that the desk adjuster can make a decision. Okay. No offense to nothing, but a lot of times with hail and those things, it doesn't show up in the picture like it does when you're on site, when you can run your finger across it and you can feel it. When Rhonda and my son in particular, they were first coming in, but our son is an adjuster as well. We have this is a family thing for us. We're very skilled at what we do. But I would tell them, if you think it's hail, if it looks like hail, run your finger across it.
Exactly, yeah.
You'll feel the dent. That's, there's only a couple things that make that. Usually it's hail. And I've got to, collateral. And I'm going out on claims. I went out on 3 this week where they were told point blank, this is wear and tear. This is wear and tear. Okay. And it was not. It was definitely, they had been hit by a hail event. I looked up the event. I could see where it had been. And that argument's going to get less and less. So notice, as moving forward into this next year, all you people with a 3-tab shingle roof are going to find out soon that moving into this next year, they're going to be making you go to a 30-year laminate shingle at least. Okay. What they've got is, it came out in the Insurance Journal here, that the minor hailstorms, and we've known this as roofers and adjusters, we've known this for a long time, that the little pea-sized gravel, the BB-sized hail, that takes life off your roof. It takes years from your roof. So you didn't get hit with any major hail. You got hit with 3 or 4 little BB-sized, and it didn't leave any major dents, but it took the granules off the roof. And I've had insureds go, man, but all those granules are in my gutter. I mean, is that not taking on? And you can't say anything as an independent adjuster. You got to be careful. You won't get any more work. Well, what's been determined is that very much is, not only is that taking life off your roof, that's probably more damaging to your roof than the big hail itself, because the big hail is making those things and it's penetrating around there. But the little hail that just peppers everything is taking off coating after coating. Same thing with the metal roofs. It's just taking that coating off, so it's taking the life away from it. And in Texas, we used to say Texas is hard on roofs.
Yes.
The Texas weather is extremely hard on roofs. It is, and it's the hailstorms and it's the sun. So you came through with a BB-sized hail and it hit your metal roof and it took that coating, it beat it up. Now Texas sun comes back in and bakes that sucker, and then you get hit with another one. And now it's slowly but surely you've deteriorated this. And then all of a sudden your 50-year roof, you're at 25, 30 years and it's done. And the insurance company's going, you're looking at the manufacturer going, hey, man, it's a 50-year roof. What happened? Well, what happened was you got hit with actual events that they're not, they know are going to take, and your insurance company should be covering for it, but they're not. They're not. It's almost like the nailable surface issue that we run into. Whenever they take shingles off a roof, technically they should be replacing all the decking because the roofing manufacturer flat out says that that's got to be a smooth, nailable surface, and it makes sense, okay? When you're putting shingles down for the first time into the wood decking, bam, it's tight and secured. All right, so you've had a crew go up there with shovels and scoops, and they ripped the old roof completely off, took all the nails out and what have you. So now you've still got, you've got decking everywhere, but it's been penetrated in a million spots. Now you're going to go back down and put new roof and go back down there. And so you're going to tell me that in all those spots that have been damaged, that second roof is not going to have, it's going to adhere the same way that first roof did. It's just not possible. I mean, it's just not possible. And so what they've done is they know that it's going to stay for a while. Okay, so they go ahead and they put it down there, and now the next time it peels off in 10 years, or, it peels off in 2 years. Well, that's where they got a little bit of a fight, and unfortunately, they caused this issue. It's like the metal exclusion. At that point in time, as far as the minor stuff, there should be something in there that allows for them to come back and put that coating on. If it didn't beat it beyond belief, can we put in acrylic coating? Can there be something on? But no, it's flat out. It's either replace the roof or not.
Yeah, I mean, it does change the water shedding capabilities. I mean, you've got little dents, you've got, loss of granules, so the water is going to stay in those spots a little longer. And then, the sun comes in, and I mean, eventually, metal is going to rust, and then there's, what happens with rusted metal, it makes holes, and then, your shingles with the granules, those heat up. Eventually, you start getting blisters, and it's just an ongoing thing with it's interesting.
The insurance company, unfortunately, for as much as I hate it, the actual adjuster filing your claim probably does care. Probably does. The insurance company itself, they don't care if you go bankrupt. They don't care if you get divorced. They don't care if during this extremely tragic event you lost everything, your family, everything. Nothing was able to recover, and they did not. And it was part of the fact because the delay, you didn't have any money, you couldn't do this, and it just stressed to the point where it broke. They don't care. That's not how this works. Okay, it's not. They're not here to be your safety net, and that's I would say that's probably the biggest thing that people look at. This is my safety net. It's not. It's really not. Okay, it's not. And it's not a bank account, Well, I haven't filed 40 years. I pay $200 a month, 40 years. That's $100,000. They should pay. They don't care. Yeah, that's great. They're happy that you paid them $100,000 and never filed a claim. But at this point in time on this claim, sir, per our conversation, this is excluded and we don't owe you nothing. Now, the other thing I talk about hiring a public adjuster is the contractors aren't going to know everything that you're supposed to do. You have contractual obligations that you have to perform. The public adjusters know these, and that's usually the first thing we close the door on. We slam that door shut. Boom. All our obligations are done. You're not on sundown no more, insurance company. Now you're on stopwatch. Let's go. Let's get this done. I don't keep claims a long time. At this point in time, we keep them a very short amount of time, and then I'll work with the insured to decide. They're not going to negotiate no more. They're done. They're drawing a hard line in the sand. Do we need to go to appraisal? Do we need to go to litigation? And that is the thing with a public adjuster. We're looking at the whole thing and what is in the best interest for the insured. Okay, we're not looking at the insured. They have so much, it's ridiculous. They need to pay out what needs to be paid out. We're not asking for anything that's not owed. Everything we ask for is absolutely positively what you are owed and should have been given without us. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. That's just not how it works. So We're coming to the end of this episode 4. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, my name is Kenny Avens. I am the claim defender. I'm a licensed Texas public adjuster, Texas license 333-1702.
And I'm Rhonda Avens, contractor, roof climber, occasional insurance myth buster, and this is co-partner in crime for the last 36 years.
This has been episode 4 of the Claim Wars. If you were the insurer, remember this podcast is for educational purposes only. Every claim is different. Every policy is different. I do not represent you unless you've signed a contract with me. Texas Insurance Code 4102 states specifically, unless you're under contract with me or your public adjuster, we do not represent you. You have to be under contract.
If you learned something today, share it. Because the more people know, the less the insurance companies can get away with it.
This is Claim Wars. Comedy with a combat. Coming at you every week. And
The
homeowner wins. See you next week.